Our Expanding Understanding Awareness program was successful in bringing the true facts about alcoholism and drug addiction to the people of South Dakota and beyond. It would be impossible to name all those who were so instrumental in supporting the efforts of River Park. They include hundreds, maybe even thousands of individuals, our alumni, citizens, government leaders, governors, state and national members of Congress, local and nationally known business leaders, men and women from all parts of our nation, as well as celebrities from the world of entertainment and prominent sports figures, and so many, many others. And we must remember the dedicated people who served on our staff and gave so much of themselves to those who came for help. And we cannot forget that a great part of the success of both Alcoholics Anonymous and River Park came from the clients themselves, who shared their stories, their fears, and their problems. But even more important, they shared their successes in recovery.
In the late 80s, the directors of River Park recognized the need for growth beyond the current boundaries. The opportunity to merge with Parkside, a branch of the Lutheran General Healthcare System, looked to be the way to take the successful concept and programs of River Park across the nation. The merger was completed in 1988, and Glenn was named National Vice President for Public Information. The treatment centers became known as Parkside River Park. Due to changes in the field, that program was discontinued after nearly 4 years in 1992. However, at the same time the merger was taking place, Phyllis and Glenn established the River Park Foundation, a foundation dedicated to preserving the story of South Dakota's River Park. Fortunately, they are able to continue River Park's program of expanding understanding. They are still telling the story of this devastating illness, alcoholism, to all who will listen.
As to the memory of River Park, we know this. There were thousands of men and women who came to us from the cities and towns of South Dakota and from many other states. They were people whose lives were in shambles, who were living in their own personal hells. They came to our doors for help, and we were able to help them. We helped them to find sobriety and an inner peace.
River Park helped them learn to live productively and help their families as well, and perhaps we even helped to save lives. When they needed it most, River Park was there, and it will live on in all of our memories.
These folks and their families may someday remember their days at River Park, look around at a now wonderful world and say, "It's great to be alive." And how many River Park alumni still say the prayer that is so closely identified with Alcoholics Anonymous, the prayer that means so very much to all who were touched by River Park. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I'd like to close this history of River Park with a few scenes from one of our finest It's Great to Be Alive programs. It is one man's story, unusual in detail, but one we heard so many times during those River Park years. White Eagle overcame many, many problems in his life and became a well-known star of both opera and the concert stage. This interview still stands out in my memory as one of the most heartwarming of all. It is a most fitting close to hear both his words and his wonderful voice in a song that speaks so tellingly. It is well with my soul.
I took my first drink when I was in the 7th grade. I had had several glasses. It was probably rum or whiskey, I'm not sure. And we had a little Chihuahua dog, and they got her drunk. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was the funniest thing. I was a little kid laughing and carrying on, and I was belonging to my older brother, to his friend. There was something happening. And so, without the conscious thought, it was as a result of this glass that helped me belong to this event. I was no longer the stupid little brother. I was no longer an intrusion. I was a part of. I was belonging. By this time I had discovered that I could sing. I started singing when I was 5 years old. So that had already become part of my addiction. Because I knew if I could stand up in front of an audience and sing, and they would feel wonderful, they would like me.
Right.
I would belong. And so that was already in place. The food was already in place. So when alcohol came along, it was just, the greatest thing in the world. I mean, now I can really belong. Denial is a strange thing. It will keep us from seeing the truth at all costs, because denial wants us to remain drunk and insane and crazy, not thinking clearly. And Jack Boland said to me, "I'm looking at an alcoholic."
God bless him.
Yeah. It was the range of emotions and of feelings that I felt at that moment were it was a torrent of emotions. For the first time, I really felt something. I was angry that he was accusing me of this. I was grateful that I no longer had to hide it. I was grateful that I no longer had to pretend. I was fearful because I didn't know what was going to happen next. There were feelings of helplessness. I'm an emotional wreck sitting here in his office crying in a chair. Cut me open, now what are you going to do? So we talked, and I made a commitment that day to quit drinking and to go to a recovery center. And July 28th, the evening of July 27th, I went out with some friends and had my last drinks. And really, I was going to go to the recovery center to have them help me control my drinking.
Become a better social drinker.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because, after all, I'm an opera singer. I have these big opening night things that I have to go to, and if you don't drink the champagne, somebody will be offended. And that's just the way it is. So they're going to teach me how I can do this, and everything's going to be great. After being at this place for 2 days, I knew this was the truth. I knew it was what I had been looking for all of my life. I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt. And it was because of my self-loathing and my lack of self-esteem and my lack of identity and my having had years of covering up that beautiful, wonderful, perfect thing that God created in me, I began to realize that it was those things that kept me saying things like, well, what'll they think of me if I don't have their champagne? Or, well, they're going to love me if I provide all the booze. Or, let's have a great big party and invite everybody we know. Sit in the bar, let me buy the drinks. I have enough money tonight, I'll buy for everybody. But I discovered that I didn't have to do that. Because within me was that perfect, beautiful creation, a child of God. It was already there. All I needed to do was learn how to discover that beautiful, perfect, wonderful place that God created. That the Creator instilled in me wisdom and understanding and life and will and love and faith and hope and all of these things were already in place. As we live, we cover it all up with any number of crazy, dysfunctional behaviors. For me, I am so grateful that I'm an alcoholic. Because I would never know the peace and the joy and the exquisite serenity if I hadn't been an alcoholic. It's been amazing. The awareness that I have of the things around me. I remember the day at the pavilion, I guess it was about day 16, 17. I was looking, it's up in northwest of Montreal, Canada, on a beautiful little lake, right? And I was standing out on the balcony, looking out over this lake, and all of a sudden, there were a lot of paddle boats in this lake. You get in and you paddle around. I never did that. But there were people who did. I began to notice, and I turned to one of my friends, and I said, where did they get all the paddle boats with all the different colors? And they said, what do you mean? And I said, look at all the colors. There's a red one, and a green one, and a blue one, and a white one over there. And he said, they've always been there. And it was as if my soul had opened up. And all of a sudden, there was color in the world where there had only been black and white. I'll never forget that moment. It was truly a spiritual awakening. Now, I want every day of my life to be just like that. And the exciting thing is it can be. It can be.
When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well.
Thank you for joining us for this retrospective. May this stand as a tribute to all of the people who helped to build River Park. They served in so many ways.
And to those of you who came to River Park to become well, our thanks for putting your faith in us. And finally, to those so very many who are still waiting and wanting, still struggling with addictions, our hope is that you too will find the serenity, the peace, and the love that was River Park.
And when I am tempted and trials come my way, this blessed assurance controls that Jesus is mine.